Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Nutta Nadia, currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Cardiovascular and Thoracic Surgery in UN Mehta Institute of Cardiology and Research Centers. Today I am going to talk about the general idea of the congenital heart disease, what is the definition, what is the burden of the disease, how the disease is presented clinically, what are the risk factors and how do we manage it. We will talk generally the gross idea about this. The detail of congenital heart disease of each and individual will be discussed in further presentations. The first depiction of congenital heart disease was done in 1900 by Leonardo da Vinci, who drew the diagram of partial anomalous pulmonary venous connection, where right pulmonary vein was drive into the right atrium. After that, in 1934, first extracardiac lesion surgery, that is the PDA ligation, was done by Dr. Gross and Hubbard in Boston. After that was the ushered era in the pediatric cardiovascular surgery. After that, in 1944, Blalock and Tossing first performed the BT shunt in the cases of tetralogy of Fallot. After that, in 1952, Muller and Daman performed the PA bending. In the same year, John Lewis performed the first open heart surgery in case of atrial septal defect, in which that was the successful surgery that has renewed the area of congenital heart disease and its management. Coming to what is a congenital heart disease. So congenital means present since birth. It is basically a structural abnormality in the heart structure or the intrathoracic great vessels that will be of functional significance. The congenital heart disease is the most common congenital disorder, amounting to 28% of the congenital diseases. The prevalence of the congenital heart disease is 8 to 12 per 1,000 live births. It will be of approximately 1.3 million annually cases well reported. The figure shows the pie chart that shows the incidence and proportion of the congenital heart disease and the comparison of different congenital heart disease and its prevalence. There are some risk factors responsible for the development of the congenital heart disease, which we can divide into modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. What are the modifiable risk factors? Dietary deficiency like folic acid deficiency, substance abuse like smoking and alcohol, obesity and maternal diabetes, air pollutions. In air pollution, there are some gases like nitric oxide, sulfuric acid, carbon monoxide, and some cadmium and arsenic can also be responsible for the development of the congenital heart disease. The other non-modifiable risk factors responsible for the development of congenital heart diseases are medications like antidepressants, thalidomide, warfarin, maternal rubella infections, rheumatic heart disorders like systemic lupus erythematosus, metabolic disorders like phenylketonuria, and race and genetics of the patient. Nowadays, genetics of this congenital heart disease has been widely researched, and it is, we can say that 30% of the all congenital heart disease have a syndromic association with associated structural or developmental abnormalities. These genetic mutations can be of chromosomal abnormalities or the single gene mutation that occurs mostly during the cardiac development that occurs in the gestational age of 6 to 8 weeks. What this can also be considered as a etiology of the congenital heart disease, which also includes the environmental pollutants, epigenetic modifications, DNA methylations, and the genetic and genomic resequencing. Further, this figure shows the mechanism of the development of congenital heart block, which occurs due to the maternal autoantibodies against the cardiac proteins, which will ultimately cause the apoptosis and the phagocytic recruitment and leads to the development of the congenital heart block. The other mechanism for development of a congenital rubella syndrome that is responsible are viral infection will affect the endothelium during the cardiogenesis, which will lead to the developmental irregularities in the vascular and the cardiac development. This is basically a pathogen-induced structural defect. Coming to the congenital heart disease has a more incidence reported in the population with a history of congenital heart disease in the family. As we can say, the normal population has the incidence of 0.8% in congenital heart disease, but with the child with mother with history of congenital heart disease has a 5% incidence. With the father having congenital heart disease is the 2.5% incidence. With the sibling having a congenital heart disease, it is 3%, and with the second degree relative having a congenital heart disease, it is a 1 to 2%. There is a threefold in BSD to approximately 80-fold increase in the heterotaxy syndrome is seen in more than normal population, depending on the which defect is present in congenital heart disease. For better understanding of the pathophysiology of the congenital heart disease, fetal heart circulation is the basis. Here we discuss the fetal heart circulation for the development of the bridge that will give the pathophysiology of the congenital heart disease. Here placenta receives the most of the ventricular output, approximately 55%, and have the lowest resistance in fetal heart circulation. From placenta, the blood goes to ductus venosus, and from there to IVC to right atrium. The SVC drain the upper part of the body in these cases, and the IVC drain the lower part of the body. Majority of drain is from IVC in these cases. The saturation in IVC is higher side as compared to the SVC. The whole flow of the superior vena cava will go to the right ventricle and through there to the pulmonary arteries, while the 1/3 of the inferior vena cava blood will go directly from the foramen oval to the left atrium, and 2/3 of the blood will go to the right ventricle and from there to the pulmonary artery. And from there through the ductus arteriosus the blood will go into the descending thoracic aorta, and through the umbilical arteries it will go back to the placenta. Here in the image you can see the shady area. The shading of the area is proportional to the oxygen saturation in that area. The lightest shade represents the highest oxygen saturation in fetal heart circulation in this image. The numerical value that is shown in the site is the PO2 of that site in millimeter of mercury, and the percentage here shown are the relative flows that flows through that site in these cases. Whole two ventricles amount to 100% of the blood that is flowing in the fetal heart circulation. So what are the changes that occurs from fetal circulation to the adult circulation? So after birth, the placenta, which was the site for oxygenation in the fetus and was the site for lowest vascular resistance, is lost. So due to this, there is a sudden fall in systemic vascular resistance. Also there is a closure of the ductus venosus due to this, and placenta is also responsible for the secretion of prostaglandin E2, which is also responsible for the patency of ductus arteriosus. Further changes occurs at the expansion of the lung. Due to expansion of the lung fluid is replaced with the air. This will lead to further the pulmonary vasodilatation and will lead to the decrease in pulmonary vascular resistance. As the pulmonary vascular resistance decreases, there is a flow in the pulmonary artery is increasing, and there is a rise in the LA pressure, which further lead to the functional closure of the foramen oval. So it will be also closed. There is also increase in the myocardial compliance since birth. These are the changes that occur mainly after the birth that are responsible for, that are the basis of the pathophysiology of the congenital heart disease. In the left side of figure, you can see the graph that shows the changes in the pulmonary arterial mean pressure, the pulmonary blood flow, and the pulmonary vascular resistance before the 7 to 8 weeks of the birth, at birth, and after 6 to 7 weeks of the birth. As you can see, there is a sudden fall in the pulmonary vascular resistance at birth. This is due to the pulmonary vasodilatation effect. Further, after birth, during 6 to 7 weeks, there is a slow fall in the pulmonary vascular resistance, which is due to the thinning of the medial layer of the pulmonary arterioles. Coming to the classification of the congenital heart disease, congenital heart disease can be classified grossly into acyanotic heart disease and the cyanotic heart disease. In acyanotic heart disease, we can further divide it by pulmonary blood, increase in the pulmonary blood flow and obstruction to the blood flow from the ventricles. Acyanotic heart disease with increased pulmonary blood flow includes atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, patent ductus arteriosus, and atrioventricular canal defect. Obstruction to the blood from ventricles include coarctation of the aorta, aortic, and the pulmonary stenosis. In cyanotic group of disease, we can further divide it into decreased pulmonary blood flow and the mixed blood flow. In cases, in a group of decreased pulmonary blood flow includes the tetralogy of Fallot and tricuspid atresia. And in the group of mixed blood flow includes the transposition of the great arteries, truncus arteriosus, total anomalous pulmonary venous collection, and the left hypoplastic heart syndrome. There is a wide, so we can see that there is a wide spectrum of congenital heart disease which mainly affects the wall of the heart, the great vessels, the septum, the left and heart patterning, and further other congenital heart disease and the conduction system of the heart. These are the different congenital heart disease as shown in the figure that includes a wide spectrum of the congenital heart disease. What are the clinical aspects of congenital heart disease? How the patient presents. Patient can be asymptomatic at the presentation, or patient can present with the clinical symptoms of bluish discoloration of nose and lips. There is a failure to gain of weight, suck rest, suck cycle, forehead sitting can be seen, or patient can also present with recurrent lower respiratory tract infection, or patient can present with the signs of heart murmur, clubbing, cyanosis. There is a swelling of feet and abdomen that can also be the presentation of the congenital heart disease. Coming to the NADAS criteria. A NADAS criteria used to screen the children with heart murmur to diagnose the cases of congenital heart disease. There are 4 major and 5 minor criteria. Major criteria include systolic murmur of grade 3 or more, diastolic murmur, presence of cyanosis, or the congestive heart failure. 5 minor criteria includes the systolic murmur of grade 2 or less, abnormal second heart sound, abnormal ECG, abnormal chest X-ray, or abnormal blood pressure. Presence of 1 major or 2 minor criteria suggest towards the presence of congenital heart disease in the patient. Coming to the diagnosis, most of the cases of congenital heart disease can be diagnosed, or you can get the idea by detailed clinical history and the examination with the aid of electrocardiography and chest X-ray, that whether it is a decreased pulmonary blood flow condition or the increased pulmonary blood flow condition. The echocardiography is the mainstay of the investigation because it will diagnose approximately 99% cases of congenital heart disease with different views that are used in echocardiography. Nowadays 3D and 4D echocardiography are available, which are more accurate in diagnosis the congenital heart disease. Cardiac MRI can be used in case where you have a doubt regarding the diagnosis, or you want to delineate the anatomy more precisely, like in conditions where you want to know what are the volumes of the cardiac chamber, what is the size of the cardiac chamber, what is the wall thickness of the cardiac chamber. These are different diagnostic methods that can be used for diagnosis of the congenital heart disease. When you come to the management or the treatment part, prevention is always better than the cure. You can prevent some congenital heart disease up to extent when you avoid the consanguineous marriages or extreme age pregnancies. You avoid the substance use during before planning the pregnancies. Avoid some drugs that are causing this congenital heart diseases, rubella vaccination, and of course the good nutrition is always beneficial for the health. Coming to the treatment part, where there are some medication that we can use, still the surgical plan is in motion, where these medications are some rate control medications, digoxin, diuretics you can also use, prostaglandins we can use, some cardiac catheterization procedures that we can use for both diagnostic and therapeutic purposes in these cases. Diagnostic purpose, we can take the pulmonary artery pressures, what are the anatomies, what are the major collaterals present. For therapeutic purpose, we can use this for major collateral coiling, balloon angioplasty in case of coarctation of the aorta. Other advent are the device closure in case of the atrial septal defect, PDA defect. These are the different cardiac cath intervention that we can use. Coming to the surgery can be divided into curative surgery and the palliative surgery. For curative surgery includes the ASD closure, VSD closure, PDA ligation, other major surgeries like TAPVC repairs, arterial switch operations. In palliative surgery, we can say that it is the palliation that we can do to give the better quality of life to the patient, or at least this can also be considered as a life saving. This includes the BT shunt, PA bending, some single ventricle repair can also be considered under this. Although the lifestyle modification will also be the part of the treatment in these cases. We can say that for in ASD closure, VSD closure and PDA ligation, approximate almost survival is same as the normal population after surgery. But in TAPVC repairs and transposition of great artery surgeries, there is I think more than 95% of the survival rate we can compare with the normal population. In single ventricular repair, more than 80% of patients will survive beyond the age of 30 years. That is a good advent in last 2 decades that happened in the single ventricular repair. Coming to what is the ideal time for these surgeries. For atrial septal defect closure, the ideal time is 3 to 5 years. For ventricular septal defect, it is less than 6 months. For PDA ligation, it is 1 to 6 months. In tetralogy of Fallot, if patient is spelling, then it is better to do the surgery with less than 6 months, but it also depends on the what is the anatomy in tetralogy of the Fallot. In obstructed total anomalous pulmonary venous connection, we should operate immediately as soon as the patient presented. In unobstructed cases, however, you can wait less than 3 months of the age. In transposition of great arteries, if patient is present with ASD, then you can wait for some time, but if patient is present with intact IVS, you have to operate within 7 to 14 days. In cases of single ventricle, there is a stage approach which we follow for the surgical plan. In this first stage, we have to do the surgery mostly within 1 month of the age. So second stage, we can plan according that 3 to 6 months of the age, and third operation can be planned at the 5 to 6 year of the age. However, as the patient present, we can plan accordingly what is the presentation, how the patient presented, what are the diagnoses, and accordingly we can change also the plan. Currently, there are hybrid approaches are also used, where the first stage you do by cath procedures, and next step we can also plan surgery. These are under research at present. Coming to what is the mortality in this case, so for overall mortality is 4.8%, ranging from 0.4% in atrial septal defect to 25% in hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which is higher in males compared to females. 95% of the patient expected to survive after the surgery. Among them, 95% of patients are likely to reach the adulthood. This adult congenital heart disease has all a spectrum of adult congenital heart disease are on increasing trend due to the fetal diagnosis, advances in the NICU care, improved surgical techniques, early complete repair, lower perioperative mortality, and increase the mid-term and long-term survival in this patient. So in today's generation, the adult congenital disease is the separate topic that we can discuss in further, or we can research in further. What are the further researches or further development that is needed in the field of congenital heart disease? The genetic testing is now in motion in almost all the congenital heart disease, but still it will require the further research, and what are the genetic treatments that we can plan according to the genetic presentation of the patient. Another area of research is telemedicine in remote care, where the expertise don't reach the patient. You have to have the telemedication communication that can help the patient diagnose the case of congenital heart disease, and at least refer the patient to the higher center for the further management. Third area of research and surveillance of this congenital heart disease, as we get to know the more of the incidence and more the prevalence of the congenital heart disease, and in today's date adult congenital heart disease should also be studied. Another aspect of this is the emerging technologies, like as I already mentioned, the hybrid procedures are there. What are the fetal interventions that we can do in the congenital heart disease, as most of the heart disease are diagnosed antenatally now. So
It's the
So, in summary, we can say that congenital heart disease is a lifelong chronic condition where a patient needs the lifelong follow-up in most of the cases. The incidence is on the higher aspect, so we have to be more efficient in the screening these congenital heart diseases. And there is also the mortality and morbidity is also that aspect, that we should study more about the congenital heart disease. We should research regarding the how to improve the quality of life in these patients, because there are multiple readmissions in the hospital. There are arrhythmias, there are sudden cardiac deaths, there are emergency admissions. This will definitely affect the mental condition and the physical condition of the patient and also their relatives. So we should focus more on early diagnosis of the congenital heart disease, how to we can completely cure the congenital heart disease, and how to prevent these readmissions, and how to prevent the morbidity associated with the congenital heart diseases.
dead.
Thank you.
Right.